All right, who's up for some new adventures? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stories from Grayskull Unscripted. Actually, if we're being technical about it, this is the first episode. And for those not in the know, the main content of my channel, Stories from Grayskull, are scripted episodes focusing on specific characters. So, sort of a casual commentary and, toy talk about the toys on my toy shelf. So, this time around, I thought I'd start with something that is probably not covered a lot on the internet, and for good reason. What many Masters fans consider to be the stepchild of the Masters of the universe, and that would be the first actual reboot attempt of the Masters of the Universe, The New Adventures of He-Man, which was a cartoon and a toy line around 1989, 1990 that obviously did not do well. And like I said, to their credit, I think it was Mattel. I'm guessing it was Mattel, went full throttle with this reboot. They had the cartoon, they had toys. I watched a couple of episodes of the cartoon and I was out. The toys I never even touched. That being said, when 2008 rolled around and Mattel rolled out their Masters of the Universe Classics line, they set out to cover all aspects of the Masters of the universe. So aside from the vintage 80s series, you had She-Ra, Princess of Power, you had these guys, the New Adventures. And for the record, given that I have close to zero knowledge of this part of the franchise, I got the classics versions with fresh eyes. And I mean, I'll be the first one to say Mattel did an amazing job with almost every single classics figure that they made. There was a lot of love given. I know he's kind of controversial, but Scott Knightlick, the self-proclaimed toy guru, deserves a lot of credit for that. We've got the Four Horsemen who did the sculpts. The whole franchise benefited from classics, but I would say that the New Adventures benefited the most. I think some of the reimaginings or the updates of these characters really worked. The main problem with the original toys were that, I don't know, they kind of looked scrawny. They didn't look like Masters of the Universe. The bad guys look pretty cool, most of the designs, and so those things really shined in the classics line. The good guys I found kind of plain, but even they benefited. So let's get started with the good guys, starting with this guy, He-Man. Okay, so just a quick disclaimer. Like I said, I don't know much about the actual characters of the personalities of these characters. So this is basically going to be a commentary on the toy itself, my thoughts on the toy, starting with He-Man. So obviously, it does not come close to the classic design of He-Man. That being said, it's a decent attempt. Of course, it's futuristic. So for those not in the know, the basic premise of the New Adventures of He-Man was that He-Man was brought to a new setting, the planet of Primus, which was being ravaged by this group of evil mutants. And Skeletor follows, and this was basically He-Man and Skeletor in a new setting with new good guys and new bad guys. So yeah, it was sort of like a futuristic world, and so no more furry shorts, and no more furry underwear, no more furry boots. You got like this more futuristic look. And it's cool. I mean, he still got his long hair, except this time it's neatly tied in a ponytail, which was, I guess, all the rage back in the 90s. And so, yeah, Power Sword gets an upgrade. It really looks like a Power Sword. It's like a laser sword now. He's got a laser shield. And to be fair, this character did come with more accessories. Like the original design actually came with like an armor piece and a helmet, which I don't know, from what I recall, didn't get featured much in the show. So this is how I display him. The armor went to Scott Knightlick's fan creation. The other equally controversial Spectre, I think it fits better there. I'll show a picture of what he looks like. A little less Deadpool and more like an actual master of the universe. But anyway, that's a story for another time. So yeah, New Adventures He-Man, obviously nowhere near the classic design, but it's a decent attempt to kind of look more futuristic, but still maintain that, obviously show off his muscles and stuff like that. So New Adventures He-Man. Now, like I said, the good guys of New Adventures weren't that, I think they were called the Galactic Protectors. Visually, they weren't as interesting as most of the classic Masters of the Universe, Man-at-Arms, Buzz-Off, Ram Man, but I guess they were decent, and they did look a lot better when they were translated to classic. So The first Galactic Protector we have that was introduced was this dude. He goes by two names. I think he was called Flipshot in the show, but in Classics, okay, this guy's got a lot of problems. In Classics, this guy was called Icarius, basically based on Icarus, the Greek tragic, I wouldn't call him a hero, who flew too close to the sun and fell to his death. But this is Icarius, and right off the bat, he looks cool, but he's got one big problem, and that's his huge wing set, which is cool. I mean, it gives a cool profile, but as you can see, I have not taken my hands off this guy since I put him in front of the camera because he can stand. Oh, cool. So yeah, these guys have been on display in my top shelf for the longest time, so they've got a bit of dust, so sorry about that. But yeah, he looks like your typical futuristic fly guy. Missiles on the side, which are detachable on one side. Sorry, my camera keeps slipping. And these wings, which I had a hard time standing him up, but now apparently it works. He's got a flip up and down visor to reveal his face, so he came up with an extra face, which was unhelmeted, which is in storage. But yeah, I don't know if you see it, but he looks suspiciously like Val Kilmer, who, aside from being Batman, is probably most famous for his role as Iceman in the Top Gun movie. So yeah, it kind of fits, right? He's blue, so he is the resident Iceman of the New Adventures crew. So Icarius, Hydron. So again, cool name, and he looks cool. I mean, he's the water guy. He's got the flippers, he's got the mask, and he's got this weird, I don't know, harpoon thing. So again, I don't know anything about these guys' characters. So again, this is just a basic commentary on the toy. So yeah, he's everything you'd expect from a water guy. This guy doesn't come with an unmasked head. This is removable. His helmet is removable. So you can have him, Okay, so obviously this is a toy that was released over a decade ago, over almost 2 decades ago. And so it's much more articulated than the original toys for sure, but I mean, these are all based on the Classics buck, which is kind of outdated by today's standards, with pinholes. And I mean, yes, it has multiple points of articulation, but even they are kind of limited. And for Hydron, the biggest problem, and this was a problem with a lot of the Classics figures with armor, was that they're obviously a separate piece. They're removable, but they're kind of thick. And so those heroes with full chest armors, not harnesses like He-Man, so this is okay, right? But with Hydron, it's a full set, and this is a problem that you'll see with many of the figures, is that they're just a bit too bulky. I guess they were still figuring out how to do this properly, the designers, the sculptors, the Four Horsemen. So it's a bit bulky, so he does look kind of fat, especially with the head looking a little bit small, because I guess they wanted to fit it in his helmet. And yeah, you can't really place his arms straight down. So that's just, it's just, one of the issues that we had for most of these figures. But for the most part, he's fine. Flippers for feet gives him more stability. So yeah, Hydron, the water guy. Next up, we have the token female of the good guys, and that would be Mara. Just Mara, like Tila, one word. And she comes with a cool staff, which has a morning star in one end and a blade on the other. And as par for the course, a scantily clad figure. As par for the course for token females back in the day. But what's cool about this figure is Bliss. Her long hair that ends with another morning star. So I don't know how practical this actually is in battle. She must have one hell of a strong neck to be able to fling that thing around. But I imagine it would be a big hassle to actually wield. But who knows? It gives her something that's unique, I guess. Other than that, face sculpt, I don't know, it's a bit rough. A lot of the face sculpts, especially for the females that the Four Horsemen did, honestly, I don't know if they actually aged well. This is just okay, I guess. But yeah, so we have Mara. Darius. So I don't know much again, once again, about their personalities or their characters, but this guy looks like a cross between Man-at-Arms and King Randor. And I did a little bit of research. So this guy, the interesting thing about this guy was that, one, okay, as for his character, he is the leader of the Galactic Council. He never came out in the cartoons. He never came out as a toy, so he basically went as far as the prototype stage. But classics got to him, and so this is Darius. So he looks like one of the more important characters. What else can I say about him? He's got his whip, now his mace, whatever this thing is, and a removable helmet, which reveals a nicely sculpted bearded face. Again, he strikes me as probably like the advisor. No, he's not the advisor, but he's the leader, an important character in the mythos. So this is Darius, and that's all I can say about him. And then another character that was not in the original cartoon but was conceived of in the classics line fiction was New Adventures She-Ra. So keeping with the theme, she's got the blue leggings just like her brother. She's got a matching sort of, what is it, She-Ra sort of honor, also with a new laser look and her laser shield. And yeah, I mean, it's basically it's a nice translation of She-Ra in this future world, and she matches pretty well with He-Man. So yeah, brother and sister, they've got the matching blue pants, and oops, I dropped He-Man's shield. Oh, and the matching laser shields and swords, brother and sister, here to save Primus. New Adventures She-Ra. And last but not least, for the good guys, is their big boy, and that would be this dude. Let me adjust the camera. They're the resident big boy of the group, Tuscador. And so based on an elephant, and I think he did a much better job in terms of design for an elephant-human hybrid than Snout Spout. Instead of focusing on the nose, which is still here, it's sculpted in the helmet, we get the tusks. So this guy's sort of like a woolly mammoth hybrid. And yeah, I mean, you know, he's huge. I'm really happy that we got him because it just gives more variation to the lineup of the good guys. Removable helmet, revealing a nice rugged looking face. Good sculpt. So every team needs a bruiser, and so New Adventures had this guy. There was another guy actually that I wish that they actually got around to. I think his name was Sagittar, who was like a four-armed horse beast guy hybrid. I think as far as the good guys went, let's bring them all back in for a final shot. As far as the good guys went, I think Mattel did a fairly good job. With all these guys, you've got a very decent looking display of Galactic Protectors on your shelf, right? Well, let's see what Icarius. Let's put this guy here and put this guy leaning back. His wings are just so ugh. This is gonna be a challenge. Wait, let me stop the camera first. So there you go, the Galactic Protectors in classics form. So again, like I said, as a whole, I never found the Galactic Protectors to be that very visually interesting as compared to the original Heroic Warriors. But I think Mattel and the Four Horsemen did a pretty great job at creating these guys. And they're not much, but they pretty much make a good display or representation of the Galactic Protectors on your shelf. So, the classics Galactic Protectors. Now let's move on to the good stuff. The mutants. Alright, so like, while the redesign of He-Man was just okay, I actually loved the redesign of Skeletor. And although he did have this weird, the animators gave him like eyes, like actual pupils, which I found weird. I was quite happy when the Four Horsemen, when they gave their version, their classics version of Skeletor, they ditched that idea and gave him back his demonic eyes. So while He-Man's design was just okay, I thought that Skeletor, the New Adventure Skeletor, was awesome. So in case you're wondering, What I do know in this story is that this version of Skeletor was infected with some techno-organic, you know, virus. So he's very techy. But yeah, I just love the design. And what's cool about it, it's got a removable helmet, so you can see all the tech stuff that, down to his spine, which is just awesome. I just love this. And then his updated Havoc staff. I don't know if it's still called the Havoc staff, but love it. Love the detailing. This is just like probably one of the best versions of Skeletor, in my opinion. So, yeah, New Adventures Skeletor. Okay, so on to the Evil Mutants, and I believe this was the first Evil Mutant to be released. And when I first saw him shown online, I was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" But I guess you could say he was a very eye-catching design. We have Optic. Obviously, the focus is on the eyeball, but that being said, he's got a hell of a lot of detailing, which is actually reuse, a lot of reuse. So his legs, which was the name of the game when it came to the original toy line, right? Reuse of parts. And so these are actually Trapjaw's legs. I believe this overlay of the crotch would eventually be used for Man-E-Faces. I think at the time Man-E-Faces wasn't released yet, but obviously they had him in mind. The armor is obviously brand new. Oh, and these arms, I believe, yeah, these arms were, I think, going to be used for Man-E-Faces as well. So even early on, you could tell that they had the future in mind. They laid out the release schedule of these characters pretty well. All you needed was this unique armor piece, and obviously the eyeball and the unique weapon. And again, you get a fantastic new update of a rather obscure character, but again, he looks amazing. He actually came with two eyeballs, different colors. This one is the orange one. I think I chose this because this is how he was, I guess. I could be wrong. But the other one was green. Optic, basically, starting off the New Mutants, the Evil Mutants with a bang. Then we have Flog, who I believe was the leader of the Evil Mutants. So I guess that by default made him Skeletor's second in command. And I'll be honest, I never really liked the design of this guy. His helmet reminded me too much of Man-at-Arms for some reason. And I mean, basically for an evil mutant, yes, I know he's got like, purple skin and he looks like a monster. He just looked the least visually interesting of all the different mutants that I've seen. And I was hoping that, the Classics line would improve on his design, but he's just okay. I mean, he's necessary, right? He comes with this weird weapon, which is it's got a string, which I'm guessing what he used to flog people with, but honestly, it just looks like an intergalactic fishing line. This is another thing a lot of these classics, New Adventures, especially the bad guys have, are these weird oversized weapons that, I don't know, are just kind of like hard to display with, but it is what it is. To their credit, the Four Horsemen kind of made them look pretty cool. I mean, they didn't hold back. So yeah, Flog. And then here's where things got weird, because up next we have this dude called Karate. Is it Karate? Don't flog me in the comments if I'm wrong. Ugh. Anyway, sorry. So this guy is supposed to be the martial arts expert of the Evil Mutants, I believe. And he's got an interesting head sculpt, which kind of gives off, with the dreads, kind of like Predator-ish vibes. But again, still reusing the same legs as for Trapjaw and the arms of Man-E-Faces, just repainted. And again, with a new crotch piece and a new armor set and a new head sculpt, and you've got a completely new and cool looking figure. So nothing else to say about this guy. Karate, the evil martial arts master of weapons, I guess. He comes with this sword. Actually, I honestly don't know if he came with this sword. Same with this shield that I gave to Optic. I remember getting a weapons pack from a third-party company. So I don't know if these actually came with the figures, but I can't seem to hold it properly. So I could be wrong, but if anyone knows, you can feel free to correct me in the comments below. So, Karate. Okay, so I double-checked, and his name is Karate. But anyway, we're done with him. Next up is probably one of the most visually cool-looking characters of the Evil Mutants, and that would be Slushhead. I believe in the original toy line he was called, Calamar. It's in calamari, like a squid. But his name is Slush Head because he's supposed to, his head is supposed to be slushy. I don't know. But I don't know if the original toy had this, but this had a feature where you could actually open it up and put in some water inside to, like, simulate his, like, give him some, I guess he was an aquatic creature. I did it. It's cool. I mean, it gives him a distorted look. But, whatever. So, yeah, Slush Head, he came with these tentacles. I don't know what they are, but they're not bendy. They're pretty much solid and sculpted in place. And they attach to the back here, but their attachments are, they're supposed to be ball joints, but their attachments are pretty loose, like really bad. So aside from, because they're not bendy, they're very unwieldy and they don't really stay on, as you can see. So good idea, but failure in execution. But other than that, he's probably one of the most visually interesting and cool looking evil mutants. So yeah, again, add water and you get a distorted face, which adds to the overall effect. But yeah, Slush Head. So classics came out years ago, and since then we've had tons. We've had Masters Universe Origins, Masterverse, and now Chronicles. I could be wrong, but I don't think any of them have touched on much on the new adventures. I think Origins made a Slush Head as an exclusive. I don't know. As of now, if New Adventures is your jam, classics is the way to go. So anyway, Slush Head. And then before Mattel ended their classics run, they did manage one more evil mutant. Honestly, I mean, she is the token female of the bad guys. So while the good guys had Mara, the bad guys had this girl, Krita. And while I don't believe she had a toy in the original toy line, she was in the cartoon, and so she was the token female of the bad guys. She doesn't look much like a mutant and more of a reject from the 80s. I love the hair. I love the the 80s styled hair. But yeah, Krita, I don't know anything about her. She's a very unwieldy character. I don't know how to properly position her weapon, whatever it is. But I guess no. I give up. I don't know. And then plus she has these weird, like, it's plastic, but obviously it's meant to be cloth, but it's done in plastic that are attached to the bottoms of her forearms that are glued on, so it doesn't, help with her posability. But yeah, I mean, again, so she kind of like gives a feminine element or touch to the evil mutants, and I think it was a good choice to go out with Mattel. But that being said, Mattel wasn't, the evil mutants weren't done. And so when Mattel kind of stopped doing the classics, another company, Super 7, kind of picked up the reins for a while. And they managed to release a few waves of extra figures that were left out of the Mattel run. And the evil mutants got one more dude, and it's this guy, Quake. So, I mean, what can you say? It's amazing. I love the detailing. I think these are all newly sculpted limbs and that face, right? Problem with Quake was he came with this thing, which is like, that's his weapon. And it's a claw that holds this boulder. There's a proper way to put it, but I cannot do it on there are 3 holes. So, I'm guessing he used it to swat around and throw these boulders around. It's a heavy piece. I mean, it's plastic, it's hollow, and it's got some detailing inside, which is cool, right? But it's still a thick piece of plastic that is quite heavy. And so, that being said, it's quite difficult for him to wield. I mean, he can hold the staff. So he can hold the staff. But when you add the boulder, it kind of throws off his balance, which is unfortunate because it's a cool looking weapon. It won't really stay on. You have to have him hold it vertically, because if you hold it to the side, it'll just fall. And it just throws off his balance. Age has loosened his hips. So unfortunately, he cannot, at least in this position. Let's see if we can raise it up a bit. So yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, but if you fiddle around with it, I guess you can manage to make him stand. But as of now, I'm not even gonna bother. Oh, there you go. Did I make it? Quake. There you go, quick. So he was the final evil mutant that we got, which is unfortunate because unlike the Galactic Protectors, I think the evil mutants were awesome, right? Let me stop this and try to put together a money shot and give a little closing part. Wait, sorry, I didn't mean money shot, group shot. And so there you have it, Skeletor and the Evil Mutants, at least what we got. Unlike the Galactic Protectors, I wish we did get a whole lot more mutants because there were a lot more interesting and cool designs there. So, I mean, I wish we got Lizor, there was this guy called Staghorn and Hoove, and of course, how could Mattel or Super 7 miss out on Butthead? So there you have it, the new adventures of He-Man in classic style. Like, I know, like I said, these guys are considered to be like the stepchild of the Masters of the universe, the reboot that is better off left forgotten. That being said, credit to Mattel and the Masters Universe Classics line. They tried to leave no stone left unturned, which meant that new adventures, although they didn't complete the original line, got some decent representation. And I think that the updates that the Four Horsemen did were just amazing. So I don't know what the secondary market price on these guys are, but if you're interested, I hope you can find them. And hopefully, I don't know, we'll never know. Maybe Classics will make a comeback, or maybe Masterverse will give these guys more love, maybe. Till then, that's it for the new adventures, which by this time are basically the old adventures. Wah, wah. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next unscripted episode. Bye.